Is violence a taste? Hi, I'm Michael Malone, and today I'm going to talk about that in a quick little video presentation. So, what is violence? Violence is something that we've all felt. It is the intentional use of physical force or power, threatened or actual, against oneself, another person, or against a group or community, which either results in or has a high likelihood of resulting in injury, death, or physiological harm. That's the definition that violence is given on Google. Anyone can look it up. Violence is often brought on by acts of aggression that build up to lead into a violent action. That is usually a series of events that have led up to one great burst of violence. When people feel the urge to act violently, it is almost every time built up from anger. So I want to talk about how anger affects the brain. The brain is made up of very different complex pieces, but when you're talking about anger, only two pieces are required. The limbic, which is the emotional center, and the cortex, which is the thinking center. When your brain experiences the emotions of anger, it stops using the cortex to a small percentage and mainly uses the limbic. What that means is that the brain isn't thinking with reasoning or logic anymore. It's now just using your pure emotions. And when you have violence as the highest emotion in your brain, that's how you're going to react. So where does anger come from? Anger is an emotion that we all have. We feel it every day, whether it's someone cutting you online to get a sandwich or you've been stuck in traffic for 3 hours. It doesn't make a difference. Anger can spike at any time, whether it's the smallest thing or a large thing that can affect anyone's day. But at some point, all that anger, whether if it's large and you think about it consistently, or if it's small and it moves to the back of your head, is going to be bottled up, and there has to be an outlet for it. However, in today's society, you can't just go around being angry. Being an aggressive person in today's society can leave a negative impression on any other person. It's not socially acceptable. It's not a social norm. People are often treated for anger management or taught ways to control anger and aggression from a young age based on how they react. However, in certain facets of life, being aggressive or being angry can give you an advantage, whether if it's playing a sport or just working the stock market. It can all affect the way that we see life today. In some instances, though, we allow aggression to get the best of us, and we allow it to pour out of our bodies in ways that are unthinkable. In today's society, living in America, we see an unprecedented number of mass shootings. Professionals try to figure out the motives behind these incidents, and sometimes there are motives, sometimes there are no motives. For most of the time, the media makes the story about the shooter being mentally disturbed or having a troublesome past, but that's not always the truth. There's always another reason. I'm going to show you two videos back to back about one being on the Sandy Hook shootings, and the other one is about the Louisiana nightclub shooting. Both instances occurred, both have different motives, and both are caused from something in society.
CBS News has learned new details about what motivated Adam Lanza to go on a shooting spree last December in Newtown, Connecticut.
The rampage at the Sandy Hook Elementary School killed 20 students and 6 faculty members. Bob Orr is in Washington. Bob, good morning.
Good morning, Gail and Charlie. Well, law enforcement sources tell CBS News that Adam Lanza was motivated by violent video games and a strong personal desire to kill more people than another infamous mass murderer. Sources say Adam Lanza saw himself as being in direct competition with Anders Breivik, a Norwegian man who killed 77 people in July 2011. Breivik set off a bomb in downtown Oslo, killing 8 people, then moved to a nearby island where he hunted down and fatally shot 69 people, mostly teenagers attending a summer camp. 2 officials who've been briefed on the Connecticut investigation say Lanza was obsessed with Breivik and wanted to top his death toll. Former FBI profiler Mary Ellen O'Toole says copycats are common in high-profile crimes.
His mentality would be not just that I can beat it, but I can get more attention, more notoriety, do it more skillfully, do it more efficiently.
Sources say Lanza attacked nearby Sandy Hook Elementary School because it was the easiest target with the largest cluster of people. But he apparently cut short his rampage as police arrived. Unlike Breivik, who surrendered, Lanza killed himself after first firing several shots at responding officers. Investigators also believe violent video games played a role in Lanza's murderous fantasies, and a trove of material has been recovered from Lanza's basement. Sources say in Lanza's mind, the killing of 20 children and 6 adults may have amounted to some kind of score. Sources say he spent countless hours alone in the basement of his home, in a private gaming room with the windows blacked out, honing his computer shooting skills.
This now becomes their full-time job. They're totally immersed in it. They are cut off from the rest of the family or from friends. It's not that it causes that. It fuels what's already there.
Lanza also made multiple visits to nearby gun ranges with his mother Nancy Lanza, where they practiced together with actual weapons. 3 guns, registered to Nancy Lanza, were later used in the Sandy Hook massacre. Lanza used a 4th weapon to kill his mother before the attack on the school. Now, Connecticut State Police are publicly dismissing the Lanza-Breivik theory as, quote, speculation, saying their investigation is not over and no final motive has been established. But sources insist to us that investigators have found evidence Lanza was obsessed with Breivik. Meanwhile, the FBI is still trying to recover other information from Lanza's smashed computer, hoping to learn still more about what may have pushed Lanza to act.
Today, as Americans, we grieve the brutal murder, a horrific massacre of dozens of innocent people. We pray for their families who are grasping for answers with broken hearts. We stand with the people of Orlando who have endured a terrible attack on their city. Although it's still early in the investigation, we know enough to say that this was an act of terror and an act of hate. And as Americans, we are united in grief, in outrage, and in resolve to defend our people. I just finished a meeting with FBI Director Comey and my Homeland Security and National Security advisors. The FBI is on the scene and leading the investigation in partnership with local law enforcement. I've directed that the full resources of the federal government be made available for this investigation. We are still learning all the facts. This is an open investigation. We've reached no definitive judgment on the precise motivations of the killer. The FBI is appropriately investigating this as an act of terrorism, and I've directed that we must spare no effort to determine what, if any, inspiration or association this killer may have had with terrorist groups. What is clear is that he was a person filled with hatred. Over the coming days, we will uncover why and how this happened, and we will go wherever the facts lead us. This morning I spoke with my good friend Orlando Mayor Buddy Dyer, and I conveyed to him the deepest condolences of the American people. This could have been any one of our communities. So I told Mayor Dyer that whatever help he and the people of Orlando need, they are going to get it. As a country, we will be there for the people of Orlando today, tomorrow, and for all the days to come. We also express our profound gratitude to all the police and first responders who rushed to harm's way. Their courage and professionalism saved lives and kept the carnage from being even worse. It's the kind of sacrifice that our law enforcement professionals make every single day for all of us, and we can never thank them enough. This is an especially heartbreaking day for all of our friends, our fellow Americans who are lesbian, gay, bisexual, or transgender. The shooter targeted a nightclub where people came together to be with friends, to dance and to sing and to live. The place where they were attacked is more than a nightclub. It is a place of solidarity and empowerment where people have come together to raise awareness, to speak their minds, and to advocate for their civil rights. So this is a sobering reminder that attacks on any American, regardless of race, ethnicity, religion, or sexual orientation, is an attack on all of us and on the fundamental values of equality and dignity that define us as a country. And no act of hate or terror will ever change who we are or the values that make us Americans. Today marks the most deadly shooting in American history. The shooter was apparently armed with a handgun and a powerful assault rifle. This massacre is therefore a further reminder of how easy it is for someone to get their hands on a weapon that lets them shoot people in a school or in a house of worship or a movie theater or in a nightclub. And we have to decide if that's the kind of country we want to be. And to actively do nothing is a decision as well. In the coming hours and days, we'll learn about the victims of this tragedy. Their names, their faces, who they were, the joy that they brought to families and to friends, and the difference that they made in this world. Say a prayer for them, and say a prayer for their families. That God give them the strength to bear the unbearable, and that He give us all the strength to be there for them, and the strength and courage to change. We need to demonstrate that we are defined more as a country by the way they live their lives than by the hate of the man who took them from us. As we go together, we will draw inspiration from heroic and selfless acts. Friends who helped friends, took care of each other, and saved lives. In the face of hate and violence, we will love one another. We will not give in to fear or turn against each other. Instead, we will stand united as Americans to protect our people and defend our nation and to take action against those who threaten us. May God bless the Americans we lost this morning. May He comfort their families. May God continue to watch over this country that we love. Thank you.
To anger, and that's how he let it out of his system. Overall, I do not believe that violence is naturally occurring. It's something that we have within us. I feel that part of it is, but it's what society does that brings it out in us. Again, it can be something as simple as stepping on a Lego, or your home country is going to war with the country that you are also culturally bound to. There's majors and minors, and it all adds up, and it all leads to violence. Overall, violence is not something that we have. It is a taste, but it's one that you acquire throughout living. It's not one that you're born with.